Poverty, education, cohabitation, the body before members, some other having parents. No more anti-freedom and choice. Colin Gibson. Um, Marital breakdown. So the whole issue, my hello. Morality, freedom, and choice. Colin Gibson combines elements of the previous two arguments in claiming that the development of the modernity has increased the likelihood of conflict between the spouses. Conflict between the spouses, okay, because it encourages individualism and choice. The way morality has developed puts increasingly emphasis upon the desirability of the individual achievement. Gibson argues that people now live in an enterprise and free market culture of individualism in which the license of choice dominates. This is a very nice argument. People now live in an enterprise and free market culture of individualism in which the license of the choice dominates. He adds, a higher divorce rate may be indicative of modern couples generally anticipating a superior standard of personal marital satisfaction than was expected by their grandparents. Modern couples anticipating a superior standard of personal marital satisfaction than okay. People increasingly expect to get most of their personal satisfaction from their home life, and television programs reinforce the feeling of that togetherness is a consummate lifestyle. Okay. So people increasingly expect to get most of their personal satisfaction from their home life, and television programs reinforce the feeling that togetherness is a consummate lifestyle. However, the emphasis on togetherness is somewhat undermined by the Margaret Thatcher manifesto of unfettered self-seeking interest, so that conflicts between spouses becomes more likely if self-fulfillment is not delivered by the marriage. Individualistic modernity and the ideology of the market. Individual, of course, modernity more emphasis on individual. So individualistic morality and the ideology of the market enterprise emphasizes consumer choice. Okay. And if fulfillment is not forthcoming through your first choice of marriage partner, then you have more likely to leave and try an alternative in the hope of greater satisfaction. So moreover, if we sum up this paragraphs, and moreover they are saying that modernity, individualism has promoted greater choice of marital relationship. Now people are having a higher standard of marital satisfaction, and that's why we see increasing divorces when they are not able to get access to the higher standard of marital satisfaction. And this doesn't mean that marriage, the concept of marriage as a whole is declining. Rather, marriage is becoming more of the choices and individual preferences and higher satisfaction from the marital relationship that people want nowadays. In the past, it was difficult for women in particular to escape from the unsatisfactory marriages, but with greater independence resulting from the paid employment and other sources, there is no longer the case, of course. So it was very difficult for women to leave their husband. So Gibson says greater freedom to judge, choose, and change their mind have encouraged women to become more confident and assertive about what they expect from a marriage. Okay. Graham Allen and Graham Allen and Graham Crow supports a similar view. They argue that marriage is increasingly viewed as um, relationship rather than a contract. By getting married, people do not see themselves as entering a binding, lifelong contract. Rather, they are hoping to establish a personally satisfying relationship. So, okay. So that's why there is increasing divorce. They are saying because marriage is more about a relationship, building emotional relationship rather than a contract. And if they are not able to satisfy themselves in the marital relationship, then they seek divorce. By getting married, people do not see themselves as entering a binding lifelong contract. Rather, they are hoping to establish a personally satisfying relationship. Love, personal commitment, and intrinsic satisfaction are now seen as a cornerstone of marriage. Love, personal commitment, okay. The absence of these emotions and the feelings is itself justification for ending the relationship. Okay. So it's no more about the contract, it's all about the feeling and love and greater satisfaction from the marriage. The absence of these emotions, feelings is itself a justification for ending the relationship. Furthermore, as a divorce rate as the divorce rate rises, divorce is normalized, and the emergent definition of marriage as centrally concerned with personal satisfaction and fulfillment is bolstered further. Okay, freedom, morality, and okay. The ease of divorce and the explanation of how easily you can get access to divorce and the law brought by the government, to legitimize divorce. So far, we have considered the factors which affect the value attached to marriage and those which affect the degree of the conflict between the spouses. The third set of factors that Hart considers essential to the explanation of the marital breakdown are those which affect the opportunities for individuals to escape from the marriage. Like the values attached to marriage, like the degree of conflict. Okay. So the ease of divorce. This view is backed by the British and European Social Attitude Survey carried out in 1997. It found that 82% of the sample disagreed with the view that even if there are no children, a married couple should stay together even if they don't get along. More recent British social attitude survey also indicate a lack of hostility to divorce amongst most of the population. Okay, so we see a changing attitude of the people. If, as the firstlists argue, behavior is directed by the norms and values of the society, a change in the norms and values associated with divorce would be expected. It is generally agreed that the stigma attached to divorce has been considerably reduced. This in itself will make divorce easier. Behavior as the norms and values change the norms and necessarily divorce would be expected, and it's the stigma attached to divorce has been considerably reduced. Okay. Then initial divorce will make divorce easier. Colin Gibson believes that secularization has weakened a degree to which religious beliefs can bind couple together and make divorce less likely. Yes. Yeah. Secularization has weakened the degree to which religious beliefs can bind a couple together and make divorce less likely. He says secularization has also witnessed the fading of the evangelical bond of the rigid morality, fading of the evangelical bond of rigid morality, which intervened the culture fabric of conformist social modes and the habits and the declared public conscience. Along with the decline in the religious belief, there also has been a decline in any set of shared values that might operate to stabilize marriage. Within our pluralistic society, it has become increasingly difficult to sustain and identify viable common culture containing generally held values, aspirations, and symbols. Formby and his Euclid had a cultural identity embracing men and women, rich and poor, young and old. The vocal form of the Madonna does not offer the symbolic universality. In the absence of any central shared beliefs in the society, anything goes, and there is little or no stigma attached to divorce. So, divorce legislation we can do, okay. Divorce and marital breakdown. So, we have to do. Okay. Carol Smart, divorce and marital breakdown. Carol Smart makes a number of useful points in reaching conclusion about changing divorce rate and rates of marital breakdown in the UK and the extent to which they pose a threat to the institution of marriage. Smart attributes the rise in divorce to a combination of changes in divorce legislation, of course, there is economic freedom, culture change for economic freedom, changing attitudes of the people that on reduce stigma and with relationship breakdown. However, she points out that the rate has stopped rising and therefore suggests that the fear that the rising rate of divorce might bring about an end to the family life now seem unfounded, as both divorce and separation had become much more commonplace. There is growing evidence that the family life can adapt to these changes without disintegrating. This means that whereas divorce was once interpreted as a worrying and a social problem, sociologists are now more inclined to understand it as one transition amongst others that occur during the life course. In this sense, divorce and separation have become normalized. That is not to say that divorce does not create problems for those involved as parents or children. Smart argues that there is a particularly strong financial impact on women, and statistically men are more likely to remarry. Divorce can create difficulties for children who may no longer have day-to-day contact with both of the parents. So optimism, because evidence that couples are beginning post-divorce family life. Yes, there's something about post-divorce. Post-divorce family life according to more collaborative principles which are giving rise to new patterns of parenting across the household. Sociologically speaking, this means that while divorce may disrupt intimacy between adults, it becomes feasible for parent-child relationship to continue and even for relationship with all sets of grandparents to remain intact.